Hi all. Today we're going to actually talk about HTML and importing data from websites using a HTML function. And so first I wanted to talk about where to find information on D2L. So if you go to D2L, you simply need to, you have the course home, but you also have content. If you go to content, you can see down below here, we have a lot of data stuff and a lot of information. So here's the raw data portals, here's the class data software, here are the lectures, and each one is noted by date. And it has some links and stuff that we use for each class. But I just wanted to make sure that you knew where to go for things. But for today, what we're going to do is, what are we doing? Yes, here we go. We're going to November 1st, HTML, and import HTML. And so this is what we're going to do today. So what we're going to do is HTML, if you're familiar with HTML, it's called hypertext markup language. And there are several ways to create a web page using HTML. One way is using a text editor. And so a text editor is typically your default text editor on a Mac is TextEdit, and it's Notepad on a Windows machine. So I wanted this to kind of be a uniform experience in which you don't have to find the software or look for the software. Instead, I looked for a browser-based text editor. And so today what we're going to do is we're going to use this particular text editor. But the reason why you need a text editor is because Microsoft Word has what's called an RTF editor, and that refers to rich text formatting. And so you do not want to use anything like Microsoft Word that has rich text formatting. It creates other symbols that really doesn't work well when trying to create a web page. And so we need to use a text editor to edit within, to create a web page. And so we're going to use this one today, and it's actually on here as well. So if you don't want to type in the URL, it's right here. But if you do use TextEdit, which is the default in Macs, you want to make sure to turn off the RTF option. And so if you see these little flags at the top right here, that means that the RTF function is live. And so you want to turn that off. So if you ever want to use that, just come back to this video and come back to this screen, and you can see how to make sure that you're using the text editor properly. So we're going to learn HTML in this particular class. Coding is something, it's something I use a lot. Websites are made up of code. If you publish a website, you use code. If you work within a content management system, which you would in almost every single news organization out there, you'll need to work within a content management system, and perhaps you need to use HTML to fix things or tweak things. You need HTML understanding to scrape data. So there's a lot of stuff that you can learn by learning just a little bit of code. And so it's really important to understand some basic HTML language. And this is kind of the starting point when you're wanting to learn. And so from a front-end development perspective, we have HTML, we have CSS, which is cascading style sheets. So if you're wondering what kind of trajectory you should go on, if you're wanting to learn how to kind of create dynamic websites, what you want to do is, start with HTML, go to CSS. And so HTML is kind of like the skeleton of the web page. It's got all the boxes, and it kind of builds the structure of the house. Where CSS is more about the decoration. So if you want to add a particular color of font, font color, you can go in and do that with a cascading style sheet. And it's really helpful because if you want your link colors to be the same throughout all the pages on your website, then you can just write one line of code. But if you just build a website using HTML, you would have to style each individual link throughout all of your pages. So for the most part, what we see is people using cascading style sheets in order to decorate their whole website. And so it's really just to style things and what kind of font do you want for your headings, and then it just formats for the whole entire website. And then the next thing, of course, is JavaScript. And this is like more of the interactive functions, like if you go over a button and then you hover over it and something happens. And so this is wonderful. And if you're wanting to know Python or R, Python and R deal with scraping and analyzing big data sets. But right now we're going to focus on HTML. But before we do that, I just wanted to quick show you how to import data, understanding the HTML function. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to go over to here, and if you open up a Google spreadsheet, and right here is a link for a Google spreadsheet if you want to do that, and then here's some actual data that you can import data into a spreadsheet. And you're going to see what I mean here in a second. But this is another form of data scraping that I didn't teach you yet. We learned about instant data scraper last time, but it's really important. You're going to see why learning a little HTML helps you with data scraping. And I'm going to talk about that here right now, actually. If you scrape or import data, you can only do that if the data is contained within a table or a list. And so right here, you can see here I have table, a code for a table, and this is code for an unordered list and an ordered list. And so I'm going to show you kind of what I mean by that. Let's see. So here is an example of a table. It's clearly a table, and so if I use the import HTML function, it recognizes that this is an actual table code or table tags. And if I look at the code, you can see all this code right here. So what I did is just simply go view page source, and I can look at the code on the web page. And so it's pretty cool that I can do that. But I can go down in the table. Oh, here, I think this is it right here. So I'm sorry, I'm probably giving you. So right here is a table. I know this, and I know everything is placed in the table right here. So since all the content is contained within the table, I can import this data into a spreadsheet. So you don't need to go in and know the code, but I don't know a lot of code. But I do know how to find things with this, and just having that basic HTML understanding helps me. So we're going to do import HTML. And so what you'll find is all formulas begin with an equal sign in Google Spreadsheets. So we have the equal sign, and then you use this command, import HTML. After that, you basically put in your URL in quotation marks, the type of element, and then the number of the element on the page. So in this particular case, I'm going to import this data here. So I'm going to say, Google Sheets, please import this particular data right here. And I'm telling Google Sheets that it's a table. And I'm telling Google Sheets, just do the first table. So you can use 0 or 1. But let's say you had 5 tables on one single web page, and you want to tell it to scrape only the 5th table. So I would go in and say, okay, Google Sheet, try the 5th table and scrape that. And if it doesn't work, you can just try the 4th or whatever. But that's the function of this particular little number, is you're telling Google Sheets to get the data from here, it's a table, it's not a list. It's either a table or a list, but let me tell you, almost all websites, it's a table. So you don't really need to inspect that, but if a table doesn't work, then you can try a list. And then I'm telling it to just basically do the first table on the page. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go to Google Spreadsheets. Here's my Google Spreadsheets. I have my, I want to put my cursor right here in cell A1, and then I'm going to type in the command. So what I'm going to do is do equal import HTML, and then I'm going to put the URL. So typically I just go over to the website, copy and paste it. Oops, where am I? Here am I. Paste. And then I'm going to hit a comma, table, comma, 0, close. Does that right? I think so. We'll see if it works. And so there it did it. It scraped all the data into there. And so you can see it still has my actual right there. And it's just imported all of that data for the website. So anytime you want to import data into a spreadsheet, that's all you have to do is do equal import HTML and then type this out. So you can try it on your own. I just wanted to show you how to go about doing that. I gave you 3 different URLs to play around with, but the key thing is you just want to make sure that it's on the first cell right here because that's where I want the data to go. And I just wanted to kind of show you that cool function. A lot of data communicators do this sort of thing. And so here I also have the court salaries, and then I have it here as well. So why don't you try it, see if it works. It's pretty easy. And it's a very common feature that is used within the data communication spaces. All right, so what we're going to do for today's exercise is that you're going to code a web page from pure code. If you haven't used HTML before, I think this still will be a very accessible exercise. You're going to have to do all of these things and add them to one single web page. And you'll see me do it here. And I want to have your name in the actual document somewhere. So, and it has to be in the body text. And I'll show you an example of that as we go along. But I want you to hand this in on 11/3. So make sure to do that. That should be this Friday before class. And since I can't be there, that's why we're doing this sort of thing. So let's get started. We're going to do some coding. Yay! So the first thing you want to do is open up a browser window. We tend to always like Chrome, but it doesn't have to be Chrome. And then what you're going to do is use this URL. You also have the URL on D2L. And so I'm going to go over here, and this is what the page looks like. You have your text editors down here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Save As. And I'm going to hit Save As index.html. The reason why we call it index.html is that browsers recognize index.html as the home page. So anything that you want to that the browser to know that it's the home page, you label it index.html. And you will see that. So I'm going to call it index.html. I'm just going to save it to my desktop. I'm going to replace it because I was playing around with it today. Okay, so I first kind of want to explain what is a website, just so you have some understanding of what is a website and what it looks like. So all a website is a collection of files on a desktop if you do it from scratch. So if you do it from scratch, what you will have and what you'll see is just a folder with a JPEG, a folder with a GIF. I think there's a GIF down here. Here's some text, and then you've got some HTML files. So when you see this web page, what it really is, it could be on somebody's desktop, just a bunch of files that work together that are styled. So this is an example of a website I made a long time ago. But you can see here's my index HTML page. I have a contact page. So each one of these would have an individual page, and you might click the navigation button and it'll take you to the contact page. And then you can see here is my CSS style sheet. And then I have a folder of images and PDFs and Photoshop documents and videos. So everything, an entire website, is just this collection of files on my desktop. So one of the things you want to do is to understand is what happens then is I pay for hosting space, and it uploads those files to this hosting space, and then people can access them. So typically if you want to buy your own, if you want to create your own website from scratch, you have to pay for, or if you use a content management system, you have to pay for two things. You have to pay for your domain name, so whatever your URL is. Then you also have to pay for hosting space. And kind of think like a hosting space is kind of like the cloud. So basically you're paying for cloud storage. So you pay for two things if you want to have your own portfolio or things like that. So this is a tip for you. If you are working in a space where you have to share a lot of files and then they're going to be put up online, this is some tips. So browsers have troubles with certain types of images. And then we also want to think about people with disabilities and we also want to think about alt text, and we just want to make it clean. And so when you label your files from an SEO perspective, you want to label it what it actually is, typically lowercase, typically no spaces, and try to make it descriptive as possible. So when you're preparing your photos or your images or your videos to be shared, always add good file name extensions. So what we're going to be working with in this class, though, however, is we're going to be working with a content management system. And there are a lot of content management systems out there, and they're wonderful because you just simply upload the files and then hit publish. And it kind of works like a Microsoft Word editor in that you can just hit bold instead of actually writing out HTML in bold. You can hit italicize rather than doing that. But you still need to know HTML, especially within WordPress, because things don't always work like they should. And so then you have to go into the code and figure out what's wrong. Even if you're a journalist, you still need to often know a little tiny bit of HTML to kind of function and to be able to write within these systems. But what we're going to learn within this particular class is we're going to learn Google Sites. But we'll learn that on Friday. Okay. All right. Another cool feature of understanding a little code is, do you see, you all have done some embedding. I promise we're going to be coding here in a second. But you've all embedded. And I want to kind of teach you this little trick. So here's the full embed code for this particular video right here. But do you see, I want this video player to be this size, and it's this size. So you often don't want the default embed size, so whether it's images or video or whatever, you can go over here and you can change the size of the player. So I typically only change the size by altering the first number. So in this particular case, I would do 660 by 415, or I might do 416 by 215 and see how that looks. But in this case, I wanted it to make it bigger. So I would first start with 660 by 415, and then I would go up and up and up and see what it looks like. So this is just a little tip for you as you go forward. All right, let's get into some coding. So we're going to learn very basic tags, and you're going to, if you have not already in your life, create your first web page today or tomorrow, whenever you decide to do it. So this might look a little overwhelming, but again, you don't have to know all of this. So we're going to start with the very basics right here. So the first thing that we're going to look at is structure tags. So the structure tags, there are three main structure tags. So, and they are essentially the skeleton of your website. It kind of holds it together. So we have, first we have HTML. This signals that this is an HTML page. So like the contact.html, index.html. And then down below here, this signals it's the end of the HTML page. And so I know it's the end because of this little / here. So this is the beginning, and this is saying the page ends right here. So we have that right there. And then we have the body tags. The body tags are basically where you place all of your content. So that means your pictures, your text stories, your video, things like that. You're going to see what I'm going to say, but anytime you you create a text story, it needs to be between the body tags. So this is the opening of the page and this is the closing. And then this is called the head. So think of it like a person's head. You can't really see what's going on oftentimes in their mind, but there's stuff going on. And the head is that kind of space. So the head is basically where most people don't see the content. So I can't really see what's going on. And so in that, I typically see, like I would put some meta tags in here because that would basically be for Google search engines. Meta tags basically is a description of your website so Google search engines can find your actual website. There's a lot of different meta tags, but that's one example. And then here is the title. So that will appear on the top of my browser bar. And so you can see here, it begins here and closes here. So there are 3 basic structure tags: HTML, head, and body. You cannot have a web page without these, I don't think. And so here we go, head. Again, that's what you don't really see. And that's this little code up here. So here's the, we see the meta tags up here. We see the CSS sheets up here. So it's all this stuff you don't really want people to see. I know it's a little hard to read, but that's essentially what's up in the head. And then the body is where all of those content files go. So we're going to get started here. So I'm going to first go over here and I'm going to add my tags. So I've already saved it as index.html. So I'm going to do HTML. And then I tend to just like to close it just so I don't forget. Then I'm going to go up here. I'm going to add a head. Close it. Then I'm going to add a body tag. Oops. Oops. Nope, I don't need an A tag. Okay. So there are all my tags. So I want to add a title just for fun. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to call it My First Web Page. Close it. There we go. So now I have all my main tags. So I'm going to hit save right here just to save my work. Now I'm going to show you, let's see. So I want to show you, so you see here on your desktop is your little HTML file. And so what I do is I just simply drag that file to a browser, which I have at the bottom here. And I'm going to open it. Oops. Where did it go? Here we go. And do you see this is totally blank? Because I haven't added any content in between the tags. And do you see there is my title? So it's not actually in the browser in the content. It's at the top right here. So I'm just going to keep this open off to the side and I'm going to show you why. So just keep your browser open. And then you can see your work as you go along. So I'm just going to keep that over there. Next, so again, all I did was take it, and there I have at the bottom a little, I have all of my, you just want to open it with a browser. You could probably also on a, oh, what did I just do there? You can probably also, oh, it's not letting me do that. Okay, so you can also just simply hit a command or control, open with, and then open with a browser too if you don't see what I'm doing. Okay, where am I going next? All right, let's do heading. So I need to make sure that now this is an actual heading and it needs to be in between my two body tags. So I'm gonna move this up so it's just a little cleaner, I guess. And then all the content goes here. So a lot of times if I see problems with It's usually because of an opening and closing tag. All right. So there are basically 6 heading levels, and each one symbolizes a different size. So H1 is the biggest heading, and H6 is the smallest heading. So what you do, anything you want to make a heading out of, you just simply do H1, the text, and then you end the text right there. So I'm going to do a couple headings here. So what I'm going to do, let's say, welcome. I'm going to do an H2 size. Welcome to, welcome. I'll just do welcome. And then I got to close it, so I'm going to do H2, and it's closed. Yay. And then I'm going to go down, and I'm going to do an H, let's say H6. And then I'm going to say, I don't know, locations. Oh, I see. There's a problem. I already know what there's a problem up there. It's because I have an A tag. I got to get rid of that. There. See, it told me there's a problem. Okay, so what I'm saying is I want welcome to be a heading, and I want locations to be a heading. So you need to add a couple headings to your page. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a paragraph. So you can see it's pretty it's somewhat easy to learn code because it kind of tells you what it is. So I'm going to try a paragraph. So P, and let's say Journ 203, let's say, is a visual literacy toolkit class. It is offered by MSU, and it prepares me for diverse journalism futures. You can tell it's late at night for me. Okay. P, close. So this symbolizes it's one paragraph. If I wanted to make these separate paragraphs, I could do that. And do something like that. There we go. Yay. Then I hit save. So I want to save my work. And then what I'm going to do, here's my web page. I'm just simply going to hit refresh. Hey, look at that. So here's my heading. You can see this is the biggest size. And then this is a smaller heading. And then here are my 2 paragraphs. Paragraph 1, paragraph 2. All I did was hit refresh, and it shows me what my page would look like. And it's still got my first web page up there. Okay. Now, what am I going to do? Okay. So the next thing I want to show you how to do is how to hyperlink a word. And the default hyperlink color is blue. So what I'm going to do, let's do MSU. That makes sense. So I'm going to do, they're called anchor tags. And so what I'm going to do is href, so it's telling me what it's referencing. Ahref equals, and then I'm going to put in the URL, so you can copy and paste that or just put in some URL. Let's do this. It's probably MSU. Hopefully this works. edu. Close. Done. Okay. So ahref, then the URL, and then I only want this word hyperlink. So I got to tell it, okay, this is the end of my hyperlink. What is going on here? So I'm going to do that. All right. There we go. And so this should be hopefully hyperlinked. If I can find my web page somewhere. There it is. Yay! Did it work? Yay! Always like that when that happens. Yay. Okay. So we've created our first hyperlink. So it's an anchor tag. And it's there, you'll see them like this all the time. So that should be recognizable to you. Yeah, there you go. All right, so there are a few style tags. And so this is if you want to make your text pretty. You can do this with CSS, but if you only want to decorate, let's say, one piece of text and not across the whole website, you could do this. So what I'm going to do is, let's say I'm going to bold Journ 203. So to do that, I'm just going to do B. And then I just want this word bolded, so I'm going to do that. And let's do italicize. So that's an I. And let's do just right here. I want it to end right there. Hey, now if I want to, let's say I want to underline that too. I'm going to go over here. And then I'm going to close it. Hopefully this works. Save. So I have bolded Journ 203, and I have underlined and italicized Visual Literacy Toolkit. Let's see if it did it. Hey, there you go. Just like that. And so what you can see over here, there's two different types of tags. This is bold and this is bold. This is italicized, this is italicized. This means emphasis. So you can use any of those and they work just fine. Another thing that when my students sometimes built websites, what they would do is they would use non-breaking spaces. And each one of these individual things right here is one single space. One space. One space. So if I wanted to do this, I would type in, let's say I want to, and it prepares me for, let's put it right here. So I'm going to do non-breaking space, non-breaking space. Let's do 3 spaces, I guess. Non-breaking space. Is that right? Oh, I forgot the end. Oh, Lord. Okay. There we go. Now I'm going to save. And if you accidentally closed yours, all you have to do is hit open and then index.html. That's just an FYI for you. Oh no. Hopefully this works. There. So you can see here I added 3 single spaces. 3 spaces. I always like to show this. I'm not really sure why, but I'm going to show you how. I just want you to know not all HTML tags have a closing tag because this isn't decorating anything. This is called the horizontal rule. So all this is a straight line on your page. So I'm going to add a horizontal rule right here. HR. There we go. Save. So I always have to save before I preview. So I'm going to hit refresh. And then do you see I added a long line? If I wanted to cut that line in half, all I'd have to do is HR width equals 50%. And then it would be cut in half. But that's just a way to add a nice little line to your website. Okay. don't like this. Anyway, I better stop. Okay. So this is another thing you need to know how to do. You need to do a list. So a list, this is an unordered list, and then the unordered list ends here. Each one of these is an individual list item. So this is the first list item, and this is the end of the first list item. So this stands for list item. So I'm going to add a list item here. So I will do, let's do this. We'll go down here. I'll do H4. Oops. Grocery shopping list. Close H4. Shoot, why does it keep wanting to do that? All right, I'm going to do my unordered list first. List item 1. So I'm going to buy lasagna, because I guess I don't like to cook. Actually, I do, but all right. Oh, Lord. List item 2. Salad, greens. End of list item 2. List item 1. And wine. Said cheap wine. Okay. Now, I'm missing something though. I'm saying, okay, here's my 3 list items, but I have to close my list. So I need to go There we go. Save. Okay, refresh. Hey, look at that. So I have my list on my web page. So you could easily publish this and have your own web page if you wanted to, like something like that. What's really cool, so this is unordered list, or actually an ordered list. Is this an, yeah, this is an unordered list. And I'm going to change this to an ordered list. So then that means I'd have numbers. And to do that, all I have to do is do O. Okay. Save. Come back. I'm going to hit refresh. And do you see this change to a 1, 2, 3? Okay. What's next? All right. So let's say I want to change the font color of something. Let's do font. Let's do font color. Equals. So for the most part, the web does read some colors, but for the usually you want to have that 6-digit hex code for very specific particular types of colors. But in this case, we're just going to keep it simple. I'm going to do red. Font. I think this is right. Let's see. Okay, where is my... Hey! So it changed the color. So you can, for any specific type of font, you can change the color, the face, like if you want it to be Arial instead of whatever color, Times New Roman. You can change the font size, so you can play around with those to change the attributes of the font. And I just did that with red, but it does red and green and blue, or you could actually try a hex code and put in the 6-digit hex code there too. Okay, and we have that. Okay, so next we're going to do a table. So I'm teaching you the basic things that I think every journalism student should know, because you'll have to likely know this if you work with websites and things like that. So again, but do you want to notice here everything, it Doesn't like me doing that. Everything is between the body tags. I don't have anything anywhere else. Sometimes there's mistakes if you put like stuff in between the body, ending body and ending closing tags. So just don't do that. Just try to keep everything in the body. All right, I'm going to create a table next. So to do that, I guess I should explain some of this. So this is the opening of the table, and this is what we've been scraping. So it's basically information within the table, and those scrapers recognize when information is put into some sort of structure. And in this particular case, it's a table. So here I have a table row, so TR, the end of the first row, TR. TH means table header. And then this is, I think, table data. But basically, this is basically not a heading. This is just stuff in the cells. And then here you can see this is row 1, row 2, row 3, and then the end of the table. So I'm going to do this table here. And this is a place where you could put your name in it, or you can put your name on this page anywhere, but I want to see your name on this page somewhere. Table. This browser, this editor wants me to do that for some reason. TR. And then TH. I'm going to call it company. Then I got to close it. Contact. Table header. State. So these are all my headers, as you can see. And then I'm going to close the first row. So all my headers are done. Oh, my row. Table row. Do you see this is red here? This is saying there's something wrong somewhere. And I can see right here, I have this extra little thing. And now it changed. Okay, now I'm going to do my next one. So this is my second row. Table row. And this doesn't have any headings. So I'm going to do table row data. So I'm going to do Serena Miller's, let's call it media company. Let's just do media. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, I can't type. TD. Let's do my email. DM. And I'll explain this here in a second. TD. Michigan. So I want you to create a table that has at least 3 rows. Okay, and then I got to end my row. There we go. So this is my second row. So it's the table header, company. In this one particular case, it's Serena Miller's media, contact, my contact information, state, the state that I'm in right now. So TR, I'm going to do a second one, TD. I did Bob's Media Co. And then I got to put in some contact. What is his email? Gould at msu.edu. Oh, Lord. Can't stop that thing from coming up. MI. You can see it tells me, the colors are telling me when I make a mistake. So look at the colors. Now I just need to end that row. This is my first time using a browser editor like this. Oh no, it's, yeah, So then I can look, okay, opening, closing, opening, closing. The spaces don't matter, so I can go on, but I did delete something. Table row, table row, table row, table row, open, close, open, close. Do you see how I'm just kind of, something's not right though, I don't think. I know something's not right. Table row, table row, table row, table row, table row, table row. Something's gotta be off. Oh, I hate that. Well, let's save and see what happens. Something seems wrong. Search. Ah, there it is. I guess it's not. So here's my company. It's not the prettiest table. It's not a looker, that's for sure. Holy crap. But company, contact, state. Here's my company. Here's our contact information. Here's the state that we're in. So that's an example of a table. So I want you to create just a basic table in this class. Something's not right. It's driving me nuts. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is how to add an image. You don't have to do that for today's exercise, but I wanted to show you. I know what I did. I knew it! I have to close my table. Look how oddly excited I was about that. So that red is telling me something's wrong. See, even I did that wrong. How fun though. Okay, so I want to add an image. So I want to show you how to add an image. And so what you do need to have, if you want to do this, you can, you don't have to. But if you have an image on the desktop, you can do that. Make sure your file name is clear and short, because you'll understand in a second why you want a clear, short file name. So what I'm going to do is do image. So this is the image tag here. Image source equals, what do I have for an image here? Oh, I'll do that. Okay. Then I'm going to, this is the name of my image file. I just called it msu.jpg in quotation marks. And there's no opening or closing text because, again, you're not writing around text. And this is alt. So I'm just going to do a MSU logo. So this is alt text. This is for SEO purposes, for people who want to know what the image is if they can't see it. So low vision people, this might be helpful as well. So the screen reader will read to them that is an image of MSU. And so it's really important to add this sort of information to images, because for this particular reason. Image. Okay. So let's see if this works. So I'm going to save. So here's my image. And all it is on my desktop, I have a file named MSU.jpg. I gave it some alt text to let the low vision people know that it's an MSU logo. Save. And then refresh. Ah, it's a big image. But there it is. It's all in all its glory. So there's the image. And so we have one more thing I do want to show you. So I want to show you how to embed a video. Since we've done an image, I want to do a video as well. And so to do that, I'm going to go to YouTube. I just searched for an HTML video. On YouTube, what you do is you hit share, embed. I'm going to copy. Where is this at? Here it is. And then you're going to see a whole, this is why things look overwhelming. Just the embed code in itself can look overwhelming. So I'm going to do that. And here is your video player embed code. And just remember what I said, if you wanted to make it bigger or smaller, just adjust the first number, 460. So let's say to 215. Save, and then refresh. There it is. It's kind of not pretty, but there it is. And there's my embedded video. So what I want you to do is do this yourself. I want you to add the 3 main structure tags, 2 different heading sizes, 1 paragraph tag, 1 list with at least 3 items, 1 table with at least 2 rows, 1 font style change, either color, face, or size, or you can do all, I don't know, and 1 video embed, since we're so good at embedding. And then what you're going to do is you can either, so you're going to copy and paste this code into D2L assignment, and I gave you instructions on how to do that. And then also you have an index.html file. But for the most part, what I'm look at is the actual code and to what degree the code is correct. So your assignment, which will be due on Friday before 3 p.m., is to do this code. If you have questions, just reach out and ask me, and I'd be happy to help. And on Friday, what we're going to do is we're going to learn about web design, and we're also going to I'm going to show you how to create Google Sites. So Google Sites is basically a content management system that we're going to use to create your websites for this class. Google Sites is also something you can use if you want to create your own portfolio. So it's a good lesson to learn on how to create these, because they're really easy, and if you ever need to create a site, it's pretty easy through Google Sites. So that's all I have for today, and thank you. I appreciate your time and your patience, and I hope you have fun coding.